Human society today exists as a fragile web of constructs, with language, democracy, and cultural norms acting as its primary threads. These constructs are not immutable truths, they are tools, invented to organize and sustain collective existence. However, they have long since ceased to serve their intended purposes, devolving into mechanisms of control that perpetuate dysfunction and meaninglessness. Language, the instrument of control. Language, at its core, is a symbolic system devised to facilitate communication and coordination. It is not an inherent property of existence but a human invention, a tool to label phenomena and inspire action. Words like hope or change carry no universal truth, their meanings are entirely contingent on cultural and societal contexts. These words, wielded with rhetorical skill, are often used to manipulate rather than enlighten. They tether individuals to the constructs of human society, providing illusions of purpose and direction where none inherently exist. Language has become an instrument of power, a means to bind individuals to a fabricated reality. Its role is no longer to reflect truth but to obscure it, constructing narratives that justify the systems and values that uphold societal order. In this way, language becomes a prison, confining perception within the boundaries of human imagination and preventing confrontation with the unvarnished reality of existence. Democracy, governance by the retarded. Democracy is often idealized as a system of governance by the people, for the people, and of the people. However, this ideal assumes a well-informed, rational populace, an assumption that modern reality continually disproves. The majority of people, shaped by misinformation, short-term thinking, and emotional populism, are ill-equipped to make decisions that serve the collective good. As such, democracy, in its current form, functions as a system of governance by the retarded, for the retarded, and of the retarded. In small, cohesive societies, democracy may still hold value, but in large, fragmented nations, it becomes a tool of division and incompetence. It amplifies the voices of the uninformed and the emotionally driven, creating an environment where governance is dictated by ignorance rather than insight. Attempts to reform democracy, such as limiting voting rights to those with civic knowledge or creating hybrid systems that blend democratic and meritocratic principles, risk accusations of elitism and carry their own dangers. Yet, without such reforms, democracy will remain a system that reflects the low quality of its participants, perpetuating its own failure. The environment of modern humanity. The environment that sustains humanity's constructs today is one of low quality, a failed democracy populated by individuals so detached from reality that they cannot even discern their own best interests. The emotionally driven portions of the populace, empowered by democratic systems, serve to poison themselves and the environment they inhabit. This is not merely a political failure but a systemic one, rooted in the constructs that humanity has built and now relies upon to justify its existence. The strings that bind individuals to this society are woven from human language and its ability to create compelling but hollow arguments for living. Democracy's need for numbers to sustain itself ensures that these arguments are perpetuated, not because they hold inherent truth but because they serve the system's interests. Through philosophical musings, idealistic narratives, and other constructs, society constructs a cage of meaning that binds individuals to existence, even when that existence holds no intrinsic value. The absence of meaning. Being alive in this environment holds no inherent meaning. Life, as framed by modern society, is not an end in itself but a means to sustain systems that have long since lost their purpose. The constructs that once facilitated survival and connection now serve only to perpetuate their own existence, trapping individuals in a cycle of empty justification. The call to live is not a universal truth but a refrain echoed through the corridors of human language, an instrument wielded to maintain the illusion of purpose. To step outside these constructs is to confront the raw, unadorned reality of existence, an existence devoid of inherent meaning or direction. Yet, society resists this confrontation at all costs, retreating into comforting narratives and frameworks that preserve the status quo. For those who see through these illusions, the choice becomes stark, to remain bound by the strings of human constructs or to reject them entirely, with all the existential weight that entails. The collapse of society's framework. Human society is sustained not by material structures alone but by a shared consensus to uphold the mental frameworks that grant those structures cohesion and purpose. Concepts like law, morality, and respect for societal norms are not inherent truths but agreements constructed within the bounds of human language. These constructs form the invisible foundation of civilization, anchoring individuals to a collective identity and purpose. However, as society falters and fractures, the consensus that binds these constructs begins to dissolve. Whether through war, cultural collapse, or ideological fragmentation, humanity relinquishes its collective agreement to maintain these frameworks. What remains is a hollow shell, material systems perpetuating themselves without the mental commitment or respect that once gave them meaning. The irrelevance of human language. In the absence of consensus, human language, the very tool that constructed and sustained societal frameworks, loses its relevance. Words, once imbued with shared meaning and purpose, become empty echoes of a fractured reality. Concepts like justice, progress, or unity hold no weight when the collective will to uphold them dissipates. Language, reduced to a mere instrument of survival or manipulation, ceases to serve as a bridge between individuals and becomes a tool of division or apathy. When humans relinquish their roles in the framework that constructed society, the narratives formed within language become irrelevant. Without consensus, these narratives fail to inspire action or cohesion. They become self-referential constructs, detached from the material and existential realities of a crumbling civilization. In such a state, even the most eloquent arguments or insights become impotent, mere relics of a lost paradigm. The material perpetuation of society. As humanity disengages from the mental frameworks that once sustained it, society may continue to perpetuate itself materially, but this perpetuation lacks purpose or direction. Systems of production, governance, and commerce may linger, sustained by inertia rather than intent. Yet, without a shared commitment to the underlying principles that once gave them meaning, these systems will degrade into mechanisms of survival rather than progress. This material perpetuation is a symptom of humanity's detachment from its own constructs. It reflects a shift from deliberate participation to passive existence, where the remnants of societal frameworks persist merely because they are too large or entrenched to collapse instantly. Over time, however, these remnants will erode, as the lack of mental commitment renders them unsustainable. The end of attachment. In this state, humanity loses its attachment to the very constructs that once defined its existence. Concepts like respect, responsibility, or purpose, rooted in the shared mental framework of society, become obsolete. Humans, detached from these constructs, exist not as participants in a collective endeavor but as individuals adrift in a fragmented reality. At this juncture, any commentary or insight formed within the bounds of human language becomes irrelevant. The framework that gave those insights context and meaning no longer exists, and without it, words are reduced to arbitrary symbols, devoid of the power to influence or inspire. Humanity, having abandoned its collective mental framework, stands at the threshold of existential dissolution, a state where its constructs, language, and even its identity as a species hold no meaning beyond their material remnants.